Wagwan y'all. The second trailer for GTA 6 came out along with the promotion website, which contains bare information about some of the characters and locations due to appear in the game. The trailer also shows us much more story-wise than the first one did. I analyzed it all, put it together, compared with the first trailer, and I actually figured out more than I expected to, and managed to create a potential train of events for GTA 6's story. And today, I'ma share them thoughts and conclusions with you. First of all, let's see what we found now about the two protagonists, Lucia and Jason. Let's begin with the latter. For starters, his surname was revealed. It's Duval, Jason Duval. Jason grew up in a harsh environment around crooks and criminals, and it can also be concluded that he worked for them from young. When Jason grew older, he wanted to get away from that world and therefore joined the army. Not much has been revealed about his army stint, but after it was done, Jason found himself in a Leonida Keys. He returned to what he used to be doing back in the day, so working for local drug runners. One of them became Brian Heder. Brian is a long-lasting drug runner and he worked out a very decent reputation in the area for himself. Brian offered Jason a favorable deal. Jason is allowed to reside at one of his properties without having to pay the rent, in exchange for help in Brian's business. That is confirmed in one of the trailer scenes, in which we can see Jason and Cal, who is Jason's friend, loading some boxes into a truck in the marina owned by Brian. So yeah, Brian is the owner of that marina and he uses it as a front for his smuggling operations. Other than that, he also owns a number of properties which he rents to other people. In addition, he is running a protection racket, so extorting money from the local stores for alleged protection. And Jason is the one who makes sure that the protection fee is being regularly paid by the business owners. He an enforcer of sorts. If somebody don't pay the due payment, he's the one to go and persuade the debtor to pay themselves off. That is also most likely shown in the second trailer, in the scene in which Jason robs a store. Perhaps that was him coming to collect Brian's payment, especially that at the beginning of the trailer, Brian says to Jason, "Go get me my checks." So it really makes a lot of sense to me. It makes even more sense if we consider that Jason stepped in there with no mask, no nothing. So he had to be sure that the shop owner won't report him to the feds cause he's scared of Brian. Brian's had 3 wives, with the current one's name being Lori. Lori makes sangria, some Spanish alcoholic beverage, which was drunk by Brian and Jason in their regular more social meetings. Now let's go back to Jason. The trailer gives us a glimpse at his lifestyle and personality. Jason seems to be a popular guy, especially when it comes to the opposite sex. He don't seem to be bothered by that attention whatsoever though, which makes sense since his girlfriend is currently in jail, to which we'll get to in a minute. Before that though, it also seems that Jason often drinks beer and regularly works out at the gym. He seems to approach life day by day, kinda as if he was waiting for something to happen. And that's exactly what's up. And his wait becomes history with the day he picks up his girlfriend from prison, as she was, by sheer luck, prematurely released. His girlfriend is Lucia Caminos. Lucia, similarly to Jason, didn't have an easy start. That start took place all the way at Liberty City, where from young, she and her family faced not specifically determined struggles. Her father taught her to fight already when she was a little girl. We see that skill of hers in one of the trailer scenes where Lucia is punching a boxing bag. Lucia's mums always dreamt of a better, more respectable life, and Lucia has as an objective to fulfill that dream. She also thinks that Jason is someone who could help her achieve that. It won't be easy though, as her freedom is significantly limited. Lucia seems to be on probation or some sort of a parole and is under constant surveillance. As can be seen in many places, she's wearing a locator on her foot and also has to do community service, which is confirmed by this scene. And also there's another scene in which she comes back home wearing a high-vis vest with an abbreviation on it that says LDC, Leonida Department of Corrections. The exact same abbreviation was present on her inmate outfit in the prison scene in the first trailer. It says on the website that the fact that she's getting out is incredible luck. We don't know why or what she got locked up in the first place for. What's interesting is that looking at the prison scene from the first trailer, it seems as if Lucia only just arrived in prison, and definitely not as if she was about to leave. You know, that "do you know why you're here" dialogue from that psychologist. Well, you wouldn't ask that someone if they were about to leave, rather when they only just arrived. This highly suggests that in GTA 6 we'll get a similar prologue to what was the case in GTA 5, which would answer the question, what was Lucia imprisoned for? And I think that prologue greatly aligns with that first trailer in reverse theory. So that store robbery portrayed in reverse in the first trailer. If we turn the train of events of the first trailer around, we get first Lucia and Jason entering the store, then walking towards the exit of the store, then escaping in a car, and at the end, Lucia being in jail. Which makes it almost certain that that robbery must have went wrong and Lucia got caught. The fact that strongly supports that theory is that in the scene in which Lucia and Jason enter the store, Lucia isn't wearing her tag, which shows that that robbery most likely happened before her jail stint. But now, back to the main course of events. So, Jason finds out that Lucia is about to be released and goes to collect her, which leaves us with no doubt that the pair knew each other already. What's interesting is that the prison guard recognizes Jason. That hints that Jason also has done some time, and even more sense it'd make to assume that he got caught for the same thing as Lucia during that same robbery, but for some reason got a shorter sentence. At this point, I even got a crazy idea that it will turn out at some point of the story that Jason initially got caught and he squealed to the feds about Lucia or something. Cause notice the tension between those two when they meet. It's like Jason looks as if he felt guilty for something. Plus, the website says that meeting Lucia could be the worst or the best thing to ever happen to him, and that he ain't sure about how the relationship gonna pan out. There's also that scene in the first trailer where they declare trust to one another with serious tension in the air. That also hints that there is some guilt and that something has happened before that broke that trust for it to now be reignited. In the next scenes, however, it seems that either the grudge was forgotten or it wasn't ever revealed and their relationship is blossoming. Those scenes, like the one where they are drinking to new beginnings, must take place after Lucia got out, as she is still wearing the tag. However, before those peer scenes and such, the two are seen robbing a bloody bank. We can't tell whether Lucia is wearing her tag in that scene, but at first glance, it feels like a good bet to assume she can't be, since she wouldn't go rob banks knowing that the police got a location. But the order of events so far in the trailer seems to be chronological, so it would be weird if Rockstar decided to just randomly break that tendency with one scene halfway through. But then what? Is Lucia trying to compete with Sweet for the title of the dumbest character in the series or what? See, there is an explanation. In the big leak from years ago, we found out that Lucia could use certain hacker tools and had some special hacking abilities, which basically suggested that she is a hacker. So, it wouldn't be surprising if Lucia found a way to fake the signal coming from the tag to still be able to pull off badness without getting immediately caught. I mean, that actually has to be the case, or something like that, because if we are to play with Lucia, then we have to be able to commit crimes. With Lucia having a fully functional tag on, she wouldn't be able to do anything without getting caught again. Additionally, I think that whole probation or parole or whatever it was period must have been long, since if it was already sheer luck that she got released way earlier than her sentence initially assumed, then I don't think they just let her roam free like that or just put her on a few little weeks of close observation. It was probably months if not years. And her being a hacker is probably not coincidental. So I am ready to believe that Lucia did rob that bank after leaving jail by faking the signal coming from her monitoring device by using some IT magic. Now in the game's description posted by Rockstar, it says that one of Lucia's and Jason's scores, a easy one, went very wrong, and after that they found themselves involved in some criminal conspiracy on the scale of the entire state of Leonida. And now the question is that particular bank robbery that easy score gone wrong? Well, I don't think so. First of all, it looked pretty serious, so I won't say that it was an easy job. Secondly, after the scene with the bank heist, we get scenes where Lucia and Jason are partying, and a scene which portrays them in a new flat that they either was renting or they bought it. And they got a snake too, which I believe must be pretty expensive, right? But even if that was, I don't know, a fake cheap plastic snake, what I mean with this is that there is a bank heist, and then they're spending a new flat, some exclusive yacht party, some fancy dresses, snakes, as if, you know, it suggests that the heist brought a lot of funds which allowed them to afford and buy a few things. That easy score gone wrong is perhaps that prologue robbery, and actually that makes most sense for me. I mean, I don't see how that could get him involved in some dark criminal conspiracy, but I'm not going to be speculating too much on that because I ain't got much to support it with, really. I guess we'll find out in May next year. Yeah, so then we got those reconnecting scenes, and then something that I already mentioned, so the scene where we see Jason with that friend of his, Cal Hampton, working at Brian's marina. In terms of that Cal guy, there's not anything particularly interesting about him really when it comes to the story. Like, it says he's just a simple guy, a friend of Jason and an associate of Brian, and that he likes watching Candy Sucks videos or some ish. So yeah, pretty much a minor. Going back to the trailer, the next scene worth looking at is that new flat scene we talked about. Yeah, the one with the snake. Anyway, here I just wanted to add that Lucia isn't satisfied yet with her position in life and that she aims for more, probably as a matter of her quest to fulfill her mother's dreams of respectable living. I mentioned that because that kind of can explain the motives of the main characters, which is a pretty important aspect, I think. That scene also shows that Jason moved out of Brian's house. Whether he stopped working for him, hard to tell. Then we got those party scenes we talked about already, from which we can conclude that Lucia and Jason love to party, to dance, to drink, and that this will probably be one of the dominant elements of gameplay and in the lives of our protagonists. Then it gets a bit more tense though. We see Jason in some gangster's house who suspect that he are undercover. However, not much can be figured out from that. No context to that visit, why he came there, or who are the gangsters. The next scene portrays most likely the Haitians from the Sanford Sign Gang, judging by the presence of French language on the posters in the back. So maybe those guys from the house are also Haitians, but we don't know that for sure. And then in the next scene, Brian tells Jason that someone's got his name, address, and in general some valuable info about him, which implies that someone is keeping Jason under close observation for whatever reason. The reason is perhaps brought by the following scene, in which we see policemen, especially one of them stands out and says that cops should protect each other as a priority. Who knows, maybe it's them who are collecting some info about Jason to maybe blackmail him like some prime tenpenny or Steve Ames. On the other hand, would it be such an achievement for the police to know a civilian's name and address? Especially if that civilian's already done time? Not really, so I think it must be someone else. Perhaps them Haitians. We also got the scene where Lucia escapes through a window and is being chased by the police, and what's interesting, she's almost certainly not wearing her tag. Perhaps that's how it's gone wrong. Perhaps she found a way to take it off. The police were informed of the attempt to uninstall the device, so they came to arrest her. But Lucia managed to run away, and that's how she was moving from now on. Maybe she became a woman on the run. That though smashes my theory about the trailer's events chronology to pieces, at least partially, cause we got later scenes in which Lucia is wearing the tag again. So I'd say that to a certain point, the trailer may follow chronology, but then it gets thrown out the window. Or even a wilder option. Maybe that scene is still from the prologue and it's a continuation of the escape of Jason and Lucia from the cops after the store robbery. Then it would be that they escaped into some building and the feds were still onto them. The only escape was through the window, but only one of them could run as it required the help of another to get down. They agreed that Lucia will go and Jason will stay. Then Jason got caught and soon squealed to the feds about Lucia's location. So his sentence was reduced as compensation for Jason's cooperation. But Lucia's assumed that the feds just simply tracked her down and didn't suspect Jason. That's why she wasn't angry at him when she left. In that window scene and the robbery scene, Lucia even got the same clothes on, although Jason got a different top. at least top, because we don't see the rest of his outfit. Anyway, it's a very interesting but a wow theory, so let me know what you think. Did I get carried away? Or do it make sense? Going back to the trailer though, we also got the scene with Bay Lukes. Bay Lukes is one of the rappers that make up the rapper duo Real Dimes. Her friend and the other rapper in the duo is called Roxy. Their role in the main thread is unknown, similarly to some of the other characters provided on the website like Draquan Priest, another rapper who owns a label Only Raw Records and who is supported by Booby Ike, an owner of the Jack of Hearts strip club and a local legend and a drug dealer. The first one is also seen in the second trailer, but we don't know what he has to do with the main story neither. Going back to the trailer, in one of the other scenes, we got the quick dialogue between Lucia and Jason, in which they express their conviction that they will be able to handle a certain difficult situation. It's a similar motive as Lucia's dialogue in the first trailer, that the only way we can get through this is by sticking together dialogue. That this here is probably that criminal conspiracy, although, what a surprise, I still don't know what it is. And the last scene worth considering is the one we already talked about, that one of them ones which proved that Lucia works community service. We can yet again admire that fascinating snake. Okay, so let's summarize that whole analysis and I'ma tell you my theory as to how the story of GTA 6 could potentially look like. So first, we'll have a prologue in which we'll have the store robbery from the first trailer played in reverse, which will result in Jason getting caught. Then Jason will snitch on Lucia to the police, therefore reducing his sentence, but screwing up Lucia, who despite that didn't suspect Jason is behind her imprisonment. Also, in some way, that whole stunt is to get him involved in some major criminal conspiracy, although no details have been revealed, nor was I able to figure out on what would that be exactly about. Then the action will significantly advance in time and will move to Leonida Keys, where Jason will be working for Brian Heder, and basically what we see in the beginning of the trailer too. This section of the story may include working for Brian Heder or some missions for Cal Hampton, a friend of Jason's. Then, unexpectedly, by sheer luck, Lucia's sentence will be turned into some sort of a parole. She'll get released, but she'll also be monitored by the police and will have to perform community service. She'll obviously reunite with Jason, still seemingly not suspecting that Jason sold her out. Shortly after her freeing, she'll manage to fake the signal sent by her ankle tag to be able to perform the bank heist seen in one of the scenes. By the way, it could be that the guy who organized this heist will be Raul Bautista, another character mentioned on the website described as an experienced bank robber. Then the two will rent/buy a new flat and will try to solve the criminal conspiracy issue we talked about before. In the meantime, it's possible that Jason's secrets will be revealed, that we'll be working with or for or against some corrupted cops, the Haitians, other gangsters, Real Dimes, Draquan, or that Booby Ike guy. And later, that's what I think we may be able to speculate on once the third trailer is released, assuming there will be one. Since the first one, according to my theorized course of events, portrayed the prologue, the second portrayed the beginning of the actual story, then perhaps the third one will say something about the later part. Thank you all for watching and let me know if you like my theories or if I am crazy. Also, write your own theories on how the story of GTA 6 may look like. Meanwhile, that's it for today. Also, a little info for the regular viewers on the channel. I know that the last video was ages ago, but the one I'm working on right now is going to be huge and it already took me enormous amount of time and I anticipate it will take me equally long to get it done. It's a huge subject and I'm trying to make it as complete as can be, so it is time consuming. Not to mention that I'm having my exams in the meantime, so that also is taking some time away from me. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Hope it's gonna be worth the wait. Thanks for sticking till the end. Respect.